Everybody, welcome to Elden Ring Part 2. Jumping into our second installment here, we're going to start things off by running a special little errand. So, if you can remember, in Part 1 we encountered an NPC by the name of D, and we befriended him. So, this is sort of loosely related to that, but coming from the Third Church of America here, there's a teleporter over in this pond. And if you find this hidden, sneaky teleporter, it'll take you to none other than Greyall's Dragon Barrow. And this is kind of a late game area, so we're not going to be doing anything here just yet, except for a few brief little errands that are going to help us along as we start things off. So, coming into the Bestial Sanctum, we'll go meet this big, ginormous, imposing friend. He actually doesn't have any dialogue for us just yet, but once we come back with a certain item and we start progressing D's questline, we'll have more to talk to with that guy. His name is Guronk, the Beast Clergyman, and what happens is you end up giving him a certain item, and then he ends up giving you some magic in return, and he's also part of another little quest line. But anyway, we're going to go southeast-ish, kind of this way, and then if we work our way kind of down the road here, we can pick up a golden seed. Again, golden seeds are the best. Pick them up whenever you can. But we're going to go towards this bridge, and there's another grace site that we're going to rest at right down here. There's also a dragon that shows up on this bridge. There he is. He just kind of clipped in. Usually that doesn't happen. He's just either on the bridge or he like swoops down. But that time he just kind of like clipped in. But anyway, we'll talk to Melina real fast.
Forgive me. I've been testing you to determine if the Elden Ring would truly have you. If you had the mettle to endure this long and arduous path. It seems my worries were unfounded. Torrent had your measure from the very start, whereas I merely pretended. There is but one other thing I can do to offer you guidance. I can take you to the Round Table Hall, gathering place of tarnished champions, guided by grace.
Alright, so we'll go ahead and run to the Round Table Hold real quick, just to make Melina happy, I guess. I mean, we don't really have anything to do there just yet. Obviously, we could run around and meet all the NPCs and get to know the family. But yeah, welcome to Round Table Hold. This is pretty much the hub. You don't really spend a whole lot of time here, but this is kind of the main place where you end up bebopping back and forth to upgrade your weapons or talk to people and shit like that, so more on Round Table Hold later. For now, from the bridge grace site here, we're going to go up and around this cliff, and we're going to go towards that tower off in the distance, because I am about to show you guys something pretty neat. And it's not something that I personally am really going to be utilizing, but what we've got up ahead is a nice early game rune farm. So if you want to farm up some runes and make yourself super powerful at the very start of the game, also watch out for those fucking poison landmines. But yeah, if you want to make yourself really powerful and grind a bunch of runes and level up a shitload, this is one of the many places in this game where this is an effective spot to do that. But there's kind of a gimmick to it, and I will show you that gimmick here in a moment. But first, as you can see, this tower has got a magic seal on it, so we can't go in through the front door. So what we need to do to solve this puzzle we've got on our hands is go over to the Spirit Spring jump right here, and then you kind of want to angle yourself to where you're kind of pointed at that balcony on the building right there. And then you go up, and you land on the roof. And then what we need to do is just kind of carefully slide down onto that balcony. And you do got to be kind of careful because, like, you can roll off and you'll have to try again, but Anyway, I decided to type a message, help my comrades, and show them that the way is down. Jolly cooperation at its finest. That's me. Just a stand-up guy. But, yeah, just slowly kind of slide on down, and now we are in the tower. Welcome to Len's Rise. If you're not playing a mage build, you can kind of ignore this. The only reason I decided to do this was to, I guess, show it off, show people how to do it. But all you get out of this is you go upstairs to the top of the tower and you can grab a memory stone. And memory stones are basically spell slots. So they determine how many different spells or magic incantations you can have equipped at a time. So, yeah, if you're going for a mage build, definitely grab that. Memory stones are always good. It's not that I don't need memory stones, it's just that I don't really need a lot of them. Because although I do end up using quite a bit of magic during this playthrough, I'm still primarily a melee build at heart. So, memory stones just aren't like the biggest deal. So if you come down here, this is an enemy. This giant ball monster thing. And you actually do not want to kill this thing. Because if you kill it, you won't be able to use the rune farm that I'm about to show you. And if you don't care about the rune farm, I mean, go ahead and kill it, I guess. He'll probably kill you this early in the game. He's so fucking tanky, but I'm going to show you guys how to do the early game rune farm. It's pretty easy for the most part, and it's pretty consistent, and you can get a lot of runes out of it. Although, I myself will not actually be farming runes, because I don't like to farm. I don't like grinding. It's boring. What do you want from me? Plus, who the hell is going to want to watch that? Who's going to want to watch me do this? But what you do is, you kind of come down this hill, and you wait for that ball to spawn behind you, and then you situate yourself towards the edge of the cliff, and then you do kind of a last-minute little horse dodge, and then you book it out of the way, and you let the ball roll off of the cliff. Now, the most important thing to mention about this, to make it work, is that you need to be looking at the ball when it rolls off the edge. If you're not looking at the ball, you don't get any runes. But if you are looking at the ball, as you can see, you get like almost 2,000 runes each time you do this, which is pretty nutty this early in the game. You can use that for pretty good level ups. But I did it successfully once, just to show it off, but there again, you can fuck it up like I just did, and if the ball doesn't roll off the edge, you don't get any souls, or runes, I should say. If you're not looking at it when it rolls off, you don't get any. But yeah, if you want to farm up some runes early in the game, there you go. That'll be $5. You can just put all your info in the comments. I'm sure that'll be totally safe. But yeah, not really going to be using that farm at all, ever, because it's just boring. And, you know, Elden Ring is the type of game where you really shouldn't have to grind, as long as you're doing enough of the content, and you're consistently getting runes, just doing other things, and you're leveling up, and you're just playing the game organically. You can do that. I've never had to grind in this game, ever. Even during my first playthrough, I just, you know, just kind of beat it. Anyway, when you come over here, if you interact with that, like, glowing thing, it spawns a guy who you can actually follow for, like, 5 fucking minutes, and he eventually leads you to a treasure, but I already know where the treasure is, so we're not gonna have to deal with that. And then we're just gonna kind of roll and frolic through the Mistwood here. And, we got the... Oh, yeah! So now that we have that finger snap gesture, because we went back and talked to Kale, we can interact with Blide and start his questline. I absolutely love Blide. He's one of my favorite characters in the game. And that's all I'm gonna say on that for now. No spoilers. But in order to get Blide's attention, I think actually before I interacted with Blide, I decided to sneak around this area and grab all the loot. Because there is good loot in this area, but you want to be very careful and be very stealthy like I am, so that you don't wake up that gigantic fucking bear. Because if you do wake up that bear, guess what, motherfucker? Lights out. Chances are you are not going to be able to escape, and unless you are stupidly good, you're probably not going to be able to beat him. So, we're just going to solid snake our way around these ruins very carefully and quietly. And just kind of grab whatever loot we can get. And then, once we grab all the loot on the outside, we can go right into the fucking belly of the beast. Usually, I was actually really surprised that that bear was still asleep, because I always, without failure, I always manage to wake up that fucking bear when I'm trying to get in here. And then what I end up having to do is, like, I hide in here for a couple minutes until the bear eventually goes back to sleep. And then I run past it. But yeah, maybe I managed to escape the wrath of the bear. Also, just so you know, the bear only cares about noise. You can walk right into this motherfucker's foot, and he doesn't care. Look at that giant bear paw. But yeah, now that we're done looting the ruins, we can go talk to Blythe, who, if you can recall, he's just hanging out at the very tippy top of that tower like a fucking madman. What a boss. What a fucking Chad, dude. But we pretty much just need to stand kind of close-ish to the tower. Kind of see him hanging out up there. And then we do the finger snap gesture that we got from Kale. And if you didn't talk to Kale before doing this, then you won't be able to do this. So make sure that you go do that. Oh, I didn't even have the gesture yet. I went back and I talked to Kale, but I didn't advance the quest quite far enough, so I ended up coming back. I remember that. Okay, that's fine. That makes sense. Also, Kale is like one of the only nomadic merchants, if not the only nomadic merchant, that actually is like associated with quests. Like, he's a merchant, but he's also kind of a quest NPC. Most of the other nomadic merchants you find are just like, hey, what up? You want to buy some shit? Or what are we doing here? Alright, so we just got an Ash of War. So when you see those glowing teardrop scarabs on the ground, always run over and destroy them, because they give you Ashes of War. And Ashes of War are basically weapon arts that you can put on different weapons. There are stipulations, like you can't put any Ash of War on any weapon, but there is a lot of customization that comes with that. Anyway, are you guys ready for one of my favorite parts of the early game? I love this part. I remember the first time I went down this elevator during my first playthrough, it blew me away. It blew my penis off. I had to go to the doctor and have that man sew my penis back on. But yeah, going down this elevator, once we get to a certain point, we are greeted by the most gorgeous, beautiful sight of all time ever. Right about here. Look at this shit. Look at this shit! It's jaw-dropping! You go down a random elevator in the woods thinking, oh, this is probably going to take me to some basement or like a catacomb or something. No. It takes you to an underground city that has its own like stars and sky and like it blew me away. It still blows me away. I don't think any game developer does environmental design like From Software. But welcome to Siofra River. Siofra, I don't know how to pronounce that word, but this area is going to be kind of hard right now, so we're not going to be dilly-dallying here. We're just going to grab that grace so that we can fast travel back when we're ready. But yeah, that elevator is like a 5-minute long trip down to heaven. Takes you straight down to heaven. We had this shit reversed the whole time, guys. Heaven is under us. But yeah, anyway. Go ahead and use Golden Seed to upgrade the flask. Now we have more flasks to use. I can't remember how many you start out with, but we now have one more. And now, We are going to... I don't know where we're going, actually. I might be headed towards Fort Height at this point. That would kind of make sense. And wait, did I already do that? I think I might have already done that in the first video. I feel like I did. I don't remember. We're still just running early game errands. I'm so sorry. Like, I know it's... You're like, when are we getting to the fucking game? Like, when are you gonna start killing bosses and fucking putting nuts to butts here? I know. But trust me, it's gonna be so much more easy and more fun to put this game in its place and beat the shit out of it when we're properly prepared. And that's all we're doing. But on the bright side, hey, I mean, it's not all bad. We're seeing some cool environments. We're meeting new people. Starting quests. We're hitting the ground running here. We really are. Yeah, at this point, I am pretty sure I was kind of headed towards Fort Height. There's also a little cemetery here with a bunch of enemies that show up. But if you're riding your horse, you can just kind of ride through. Also, those flowers will poison you. I can't remember what they're actually called. I always just end up calling them plant casters. Yay! Up the Spirit Spring we go. That's always so fun. I love Spirit Spring jumps. I wish that there were more of them in the game. But it's all good. Back to the old Waypoint Ruins, where we end up fighting the Mad Pumpkinhead boss, and we also fight... no, that's it. We just fight the Mad Pumpkinhead boss, and that's also where we find another NPC with a pretty extensive quest line. The NPC that we find in there is actually kind of a fan favorite, and I'm pretty sure it's partially because she's barefoot, but it's also partially because she has, like, a sexy accent. She kind of sounds like Bayonetta when she talks, but whatever, I'm not gonna spoil it. But yeah, she's barefoot, and From Software fans have a weird fucking Quentin Tarantino style foot thing going on. I'm not joking, man. When you play this game, you will see a lot of messages from other players that mention feet. Every time you run into a barefoot NPC, which there are a suspicious amount of, the game will be like, hey, or not the game, just the fucking players will put messages like, hey, guess what, feet ahead. So we got a nice battle going on over here between some Godric soldiers and some demi-humans, and you would be pretty smart to not interfere with that. But sometimes you can kind of let these guys kill each other a bit, and you'll get some runes. Kind of takes forever. Also, this bug was being a dick. I think I was checking my my notes to figure out where the hell I wanted to head next, because I didn't know. So I was like, yeah, we'll just watch this battle unfold in the distance and get my shit together. Hey, look, am I figuring it out? I might be figuring it out. I still need to, did I ever buy that cookbook from the NPC who, sells the cookbook that you need to craft exalted flesh? I don't know if I ever did that. My poor horse, dude. He's just getting, like, bit on the butt cheek by a bug because I'm standing here like a fucking idiot. Don't worry. I have the power to fast forward the video if I don't end up knowing what I'm doing. Yeah, I didn't go to Fort Height yet. I still have to do that. If anything, just to get the grace, and there's a golden seed there. Went to the minor Erd tree, explored most of the Mistwood, avoided the bears. I think I was looking for a nomadic merchant. 90% sure. Because I wanted to get that Exalted Flesh cookbook too. Because that way, you don't have to buy Exalted Flesh from merchants or wait for generous NPCs to give you some. You can just make it yourself. Cookbooks and crafting whatever the fucks, crafting book thingies are always good to get your hands on in this game. Unless you know for a fact that you're, like, never going to use the items that are associated with it. I would always recommend that you buy, like, cookbooks and shit from NPCs. Because those cookbooks will give you recipes that will allow you to craft more shit. I'm slowly turning into one of the Knights of Knee. Oh yeah, when you see that sign or that message that says open for business, just don't go over there. You get attacked by a ton of shit.
This way. Right this way.
So this poor bastard is all
Valued customer.
haggard. Sounds like he's dying.
Come, trade in our wandering emporium. Please, buy something. I'm hungry. I've been hungry so long. Please?
You're in luck, buddy, because I am going to purchase the Nomadic Warriors Cookbook. Actually, no, we're getting the Armorer's Cookbook. Wait, did I get both? I wasn't paying attention. I'm pretty sure I just got the Armorer's Cookbook. The one that sells exalted flesh. That's the one that I bought. There, that guy gets to eat tonight. Assuming he can make his way out of this bear-infested wilderness on his own. But, alright, now we're rolling up to Fort Height. This is actually a very, 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 very early game area. It's probably going to be one of the first dungeon areas that you complete. Because it's easy. And it's supposed to be pretty easy, because it's the beginning of the game. But we're not going to get things started here just yet. We're going to grab this golden seed, and then we're going to run down over here where we're going to find a grace site, kind of at the bottom of the cliff. And that way we'll be able to fast travel here when we are ready to get things started. Yeah, Fort Height, this is where you need to go to complete the Kenneth Height quest that we got from that dude that was stranded up on that, like, ruin. The guy who was like, "Oh, I'm Kenneth Height, would you like to help me?" That's like almost verbatim what he said. Like, that sounded like a parody voice, but like that's pretty much the gist of what he says. He's like, "Wouldn't you like to help the great Kenneth Height?" And yes, we would. We're gonna help him. Also, I really did not need to put a map marker there for that, did I? Oh my god. How retarded. Why did I do that? I did not need a map marker to go approximately 100 yards straight ahead. I really just, I was worried about getting lost. Yeah, we're gonna loot this cemetery. These wolves actually aren't too hard to fight. The white wolves will actually fuck you up because they're tankier and they do more damage than the gray wolves. But overall, the white wolves are not something to be too crazy worried about. We also get some thin beast bones, which we can use for crafting. If you're wondering what you use those to craft, usually arrows. Arrows are pretty much the main thing you craft with beast bones. But yeah, we're just gonna frolic around this cemetery and rob these graves, because we need these resources more than these guys do, sadly. And now that we're done with that, time to continue our adventure to the northwest, where we are doing something that I actually don't fucking know. Going back to Gatefront, actually, apparently. Alright. Back at Gatefront. I might have gotten my hands on this item here, yeah. There's an item in this chest in the back of this wagon. I can't quite remember what it is. I want to say it's not a great sword. What the hell is it? Lordran's great. Okay, well it is a great sword. Never mind. It's the Lordsworn's great sword. There's that weapon, if you would like to use it. I'm not going to use it, but that's because at this point we're kind of on our way to the spot where we get to craft our beginner build. And by beginner build, I mean kind of just the little stitched together katana build that I end up using for a very small portion of the beginning of the game. But it is a good build, and it can take you through the entire game if you utilize it properly, so if you want to go through the entire game using this katana build that I'm about to kind of throw together, it would totally work, as long as you continue to upgrade the sword and dexterity and whatnot. But as we cross this bridge, we're going to run into something kind of important. Kind of important for me, at least. So we're going to go over here. And when you see this dead guy in a chair, we're going to grab our very first somber smithing stone. So the difference between a regular smithing stone and a somber is that sombers are used to upgrade specialty weapons. And specialty weapons are basically weapons that are pretty gosh darn powerful, but they also come with their own unique weapon art. So you can't fit specialty weapons with your own Ashes of War, because they already come with one that's like a specialty to that specific weapon. So, some examples of specialty weapons, I guess, you know, the weapon that we're going to end up using for most of the game is going to be Bloodhound's Fang, and that's a specialty weapon. So, yeah, pretty, kind of a rough breakdown on how that works. So to upgrade our Bloodhound's Fang when we get our hands on it, we're going to need somber smithing stones. But if I wanted to upgrade my stupid poopy longsword that I'm using now, I could just use regular smithing stones. And you can upgrade those weapons to... I can't remember how far you can upgrade specialty weapons, but regular weapons can be upgraded all the way up to plus 24, I believe. So yeah, I was going to ignore that guy and make our way towards this big old bridge. And when you make your way towards this bridge, be careful because there's a guy on a giant ballista turret. Now, luckily for us, this ballista guy has the worst accuracy I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. And it's pretty easy to just kind of roll over to the side and not get hit. So, pick up that stone sword key and we'll move over to this first grace on the Weeping Peninsula. And the Weeping Peninsula is another, like, really early game area that we'll be finishing pretty quickly. But this area is kind of a trip because there's really not much to this area. There's not a whole lot going on in this, this little, like, miniature region, I guess. But we'll go over here, and we will talk to this poor girl.
Is somebody there? Might I bend your ear for a moment, please? My name is Irina. I've escaped from Castle Morn to the south. The servants there have rebelled. I can't be sure what it is. My eyesight's been weak since birth, you see. But I swear I heard frightful howling from all over. My good father secreted me out the castle, but decided himself to stay. He says it's his duty. As commander. I fear for Father's life. The servants are full of wrath, filled with hatred for every one of us. They've since come for every one of the companions I escaped with. They haven't spared a soul. I fear it's no different at Castle Morn. Please, I implore you, would you mind taking a letter to my father at the castle, where my soul wishes that he escape, even if his honor should be the price? Please. I just want him to be safe. Thank you, dearly. Then please, take this. Deliver it. Please, if you wouldn't mind, deliver the letter to my father at the castle. He can be stubborn, but I'm sure he'll come around. Please, he can be stubborn.
Alright, so there's another side quest started where we go to Castle Morn, which is pretty much down at the south end of the peninsula. And we pretty much complete that area, and then we meet her dad, and I'm not going to spoil anything else. I just almost ended up laying out like a step-by-step foundation of that entire quest line, but we get the Morning Star out of that wagon chest. And the Morning Star is a mace, and it's a really good weapon for the beginning of the game. And we'll probably be using it a little bit. I think I actually did end up using it a little. It's not as good as the Uchi Katana that I end up getting, but it's still pretty good. So over here, this is kind of like the Castle Morn pathway slash entryway area. So we'll discover this grace for fast traveling convenience, and then we'll go talk to this other merchant and see if he has anything good. I don't think I bought anything from this guy, but I can't quite remember. Okay, well I was definitely buying something from this guy because I'm getting ready to use consumable souls. Yeah, there's... Okay, so I definitely bought something. Let's see what I bought. What did I get here? Oh, a stone sword key? Hell yeah, brother. Yeah, every time a merchant sells either a stone sword key or a rune arc, I would highly recommend you buy both of those things. And if you don't know what rune arcs are, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter yet. It's not going to matter for like 5 more hours. Trust me. We'll get to it. I'll explain it when it becomes actually relevant. But we'll come down here and we will pick up this map fragment. Little pro tip for finding the map fragments. When you open up your map and you haven't discovered maps for a region yet, so the whole region is just all brown and blurred out, you can't see it yet, look for a bright looking lighthouse icon. Like an icon that looks like a lighthouse. And go over to that, and that is where you will find the map. Every single time. There is like one exception that I can think of, and that's the Deep Root Depths, which is a late game area, so that doesn't matter yet either, but in the Deep Root Depths, I think you find the map fragment on a dead guy, but in pretty much every other location, you'll find the map on those pillars at the little lighthouse icon. But yeah, now that we're done here, we're not going to be doing Castle Morn just yet, but we will do Castle Morn. Again, that's another one of kind of the early game things that we end up doing. We've got Castle Morn, we've got Fort Height. Fort Height is actually like a really quick, kind of easy breezy little quest. And then you've got the Castle Morn quest that we just got, which is a little bit more in depth, I would have to say. But so to safely jump down from high places, if you land on a spirit spring like that, you will survive and you won't take any fall damage. Cool little pro tip. So now, let's see, we got the Weeping Peninsula kind of starting loop shit done. I don't remember if I ended up going to the, what is it? The Kalu Baptismal Church and the Aeling Church. Because if you go to those two places, you can get another Sacred Tear and the Flame of Frenzy. But I don't remember if I ended up doing that. I really don't. I can't remember. Doesn't really matter, but it would definitely be nice to get another Sacred Tear. Actually, it looks like I did remember. Hey, look at this. Kalu Baptismal Church. Yeah, there are a bunch of rats here. So pick up the Flame of Frenzy and that Sacred Tear and the GTS. Oh my god. Oh, there. Oh, I died. I ended up dying. I didn't escape fast enough. Yeah, so these rats are actually not ordinary rats. They do madness damage. And if you don't know what madness is, it's you know, it's one of the various status ailments in this game. Like, you know, you can get poisoned, or you can get scarlet rot, or you can take bleed damage. Madness is kind of like this game's version of Frenzy from Bloodborne. Frenzy was a status ailment where once the bar would fill up all the way, you would just lose a ginormous chunk of your health. And that's exactly what happens with Madness buildup in this game. So if you've ever played Bloodborne, Madness is the same as Frenzy. It just builds up, and then once it builds up all the way, you lose a ton of fucking health. And of course, obviously, like every status ailment, there are items that you can find, or spells that you can use to alleviate it. But we'll be getting to that later, because we're still pretty damn early in the game. There's another grace site over here by the shitty rat village. And I did another accidental gesture, which I really wish that there was a way to disable that, but There's not, I don't think. I looked through all the settings. I could not find a way to disable the stupid fucking, I think it has something to do with the motion controls. But yeah, sometimes, like, when you hold the triangle button down and do something else, you just end up, dying like that. Yep. Let it be known to all that fall damage is a very real thing in Elden Ring. So, fall damage in this game is actually really generous, but it's kind of deceptive. Because you end up kind of jumping and romping, and you just keep kind of pushing it further. You keep pushing the envelope further and further. Your falls get more and more, you know, from higher and higher up, you keep falling. And then eventually you die, and then it hits you. Like, oh, this game has fall damage in it. So here I go, trying to find a safe way down. And lo and behold, I did it. Obviously, I don't care about getting my runes back this early in the game, because when we die, we don't really lose a whole lot. But yeah, welcome to Elden Ring, where fall damage causes, I would say, 90% of my deaths. I'm not joking. Like, I'm not. I don't often die to the bosses, or the enemies, or the general challenges of the gameplay. I do, however, get my fucking ass handed to me by gravity. Quite a bit. So, I saw a statistic where it was like they figured out how most players die in this game. It was like, most players die to the bosses. It's like, you know, 40% of players die to bosses, 40% of players die to whatever other shit, and then I think it said the statistic was like 12% of people, or 12% of all deaths can be attributed to fall damage. I don't believe that. I think there's way more fall damage death going on here, and From Software just doesn't want to fucking admit it. Miyazaki, I know all about your fucking schemes, bro. But anyway, here at the Church of Pilgrimage, for now, there's absolutely nothing here except a sacred tear, and we can talk to Melina and get some more lore if we would like. So let's... Oh, I guess I just told Melina to go fuck herself. I didn't talk to her at all. I don't know if I just didn't see the dialogue prompt or if I just didn't give a shit at the time. I imagine I just didn't see it, but... Yeah, when you go to the Church of Pilgrimage, you can talk to Melina, and she shows up, and she just kind of tells you some more random lore. It's nothing that really affects the gameplay, but it is interesting, because the lore of this game is extremely interesting. It's well curated. So yeah, we got our sacred tier. Our flasks are up to date in terms of upgrades, so... That over there is a walking mausoleum. And I'll explain what they do later, because... Again, it doesn't matter yet. But yeah, trust me, these guys, they're kind of fightable. It's not like a Shadow of the Colossus style showdown or anything, but you end up, you know, you solve a little bit of a puzzle, and then you take them down, and then you can actually go into the giant building that they're carrying. Pretty fucking sweet. I actually really like the whole, like, walking mausoleum mechanic. I think it'd be cooler if they were made as, like, actual boss fights, but I think what they have going is pretty sweet.
There's been an age since I've seen a customer. How can I help here at the end of the earth?
This guy's got massive Game of Thrones voice.
Have a safe journey.
Have a safe journey. You can come back whenever you feel, but there's no rush. Return when you're ready. Face your enemies like a warrior.
Guy sounds like Jon Snow if he's been smoking 10 packs of cigarettes a day for the past 15 years. Alright, so we're going to buy the lantern from this guy, because the lantern is the best. We didn't even have a chance to use the torch. I just bought the torch, but like we're never going to use it because I got the lantern. So I think I did this just to demonstrate how the lantern works. What you do is you equip it like any other item, and then you use it. And instead of having to hold a torch in your hand to light your way, the lantern acts as a passive light source. So you can have your shield and your sword out, and you have the way lit. So yeah, it does the same thing as the torch, and it gives you almost as much light. You get a little bit more light when you use the torch, but the lantern is fine. And again, the thing with using the torch is that the torch counts as a weapon. It's not like a usable item like the lantern. So when you're using a torch, you have to fucking, you know, it takes up a hand spot. So you have to either sacrifice your sword or your shield. Neither of which is a great option.
Well, you're back. Care to buy something?
Alright, so now we can ask this dude about Blide.
The howl of a wolf. In the mistwood. I suppose he must still be skulking about. I know. Why not meet him for yourself? Next time you hear the wolf's howl, make this signal right under the source. Oh, don't fret. There is nothing to fear. I just have an inkling the two of you might hit it off.
Alright, so we learn the finger snap gesture,
There
which
are
is
others of my
what we
people
actually
who yet
need to
survive in
talk to
these
Blide.
lands. If the mood takes you and you meet one, then offer them some trade, won't you? My people, wanderers all have long been spurned by the grace of gold, which is why we cannot settle, but instead are forced into this pitiful, unceasing journey. But thanks to that, things are not so different for us now, though the Elden Ring is shattered. I think this makes us kindred spirits of sorts. Your people, the Tarnished, and mine. Perhaps you don't need to hear this, but see that no harm comes to my kin. We have a saying, we wanderers, lament not your solitude. Expect no sympathy, no regard, nothing. But if anyone dares harm us, show them no mercy. That is our code, so to speak. Just the way we are, deeply unforgiving. Goodbye for now.
Alright, so we have pretty much wrapped things up with Merchant Kale for now. And now we are going to Mistwood! Back to the Mistwood ruins, so that we can actually start Blide's quest. And Blide's quest ties into another NPC quest line, which is actually my favorite quest line in all of From Software games. I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a very advanced, very in-depth, and very lengthy quest line involving a certain NPC. And he ends up being part of that. But for now, we'll go over to this tower, and then we'll bust out the old finger snap gesture. So go to the gesture menu, and then just pick a random gesture to swap out for finger snap. And then do it. Here comes our boy!
Who goes there? Carly sent you, did he? Ever the bloody busybody. Maybe to him you don't seem so strange. The name's Blythe. I'm looking for a man who goes by Darrowell. He fled somewhere nearby. Or so I've heard. Come tell me if you find him before I do. I can offer you ample reward. Darrowell is nothing but a traitor, and in need of a fitting end to his tale. Darrowell is nothing in need
Alright,
of...
so he's looking for somebody named Darrowell, and we're going to go ahead and help him find him. And in doing that, we are going to do pretty much our very first boss, and this is, it's actually going to be really easy, because obviously this boss fight is directly a part of this quest. So our first stop is going to be, I can't remember actually what this place is called specifically, but it's an Ever Jail. It's one of the Ever Jails. Throughout this game, you will find Ever Jails, and they contain pretty much like hidden bosses. So, switching to the Morning Star, just because I like this weapon, and it does more damage than the longsword. This will be a pretty good little weapon to get us through this boss fight. So, this is where we find Darrowil. So what we do is we enter the Ever Jail, and as soon as the fight starts, you're going to notice a summon sign on the right here, and that is none other than Blaidd. So let's go ahead and summon him, and then Blaidd is going to help us take this guy down.
Darrow,
And when I say help,
nothing in this cell is no true justice.
I mean he's going to do pretty much all the work.
This is where it ends for you.
Alright, so Blaidd absolutely beats the ever-loving shit out of this poor boss. Although, I do recommend that you help him out a little bit, because if you don't do anything and you just let Blaidd do all the work, he can die. It doesn't happen often, but sometimes Blaidd actually does lose. So, I'd recommend, you know, trying to get some licks in there. Overall, Blaidd just goes absolutely crazy on this game. And down goes Bloodhound Knight Darrowil. And with that, we get the Bloodhound's Fang. One of the absolute best weapons in the game, and the weapon that we're going to be using for a pretty giant portion of this playthrough. Because it's really fucking good. I can't explain enough how much I love Bloodhound's Fang.
Right. There you are. Had to work for it, but it's done. Don't say I'm not a man of my word. Here's your prize.
And we get a Somber Smithing Stone too, which is also really good.
I should
We
say,
already have
if
2
you venture
upgrades
north to
for
raid
the
the
Bloodhound's
colony
Fang.
and come across a venerable blacksmith who's a little on the large side, tell him I sent you, and he'll be sure to treat you right. I owe you one, I reckon. That's enough chit-chat for now. It's time we parted ways. That's enough chit-chat. It's time we parted ways.
That's gonna be it. I think I stopped the recording here and jumped into a new video, so I'm probably gonna call this part 2 and upload it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Nice little I did a nice little wave goodbye for you. How cute. But anyway, yeah, Blaidd and I are gonna get busy here, so you guys better just move on to part 3.